We're recapping Tuesday in the NBA. The Bulls got absolutely cooked. Your GOAT could never bring them back. We had big performances like Quentin Grimes, maybe a starter in Philadelphia. I forgot. Bol Bol started. Michael, what should we do?
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and actually my real name is Ken, and that's short for Bro Ken. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Blue Sky, joshloyd.bsky.social, on Twitter at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free. We're available on all platforms, and make sure you're checking out lockedondaily.com, and you'll find the best newsletter for your favorite NBA team. That is lockedondaily.com. So go and check that out. Double bang these ones, subscribe, throw the comments down below. You'll notice that I didn't do a daily look ahead show for Wednesday. There were 15 games on Wednesday. Well, there still is going to be 15 games on because there's going to be no streaming, so there's no stream of the day for that day. My time got really squeezed today, so I wasn't able to get that 15-game preview out, and I didn't want to do a rush job or limit the other work that I needed to do. So that video, I didn't do that. I did the buy lows and sell highs earlier today, so you can see both those videos. But if you are looking for that daily preview show for Wednesday, it's not there. There are 15 games on. There was just too much uncertainty with doing it as well in terms of weirdness before the All-Star break. A bunch of teams on back-to-backs, no streaming availability either. So that is why that video is not available, or audio is not available, because I didn't do it. So apologies for that. Shall we go ahead and just start talking about what actually did happen on Tuesday? Because it is Indian National Productivity Day. Everyone else in other countries, just be lazy, don't worry about it. But if you're in India, well, this is the day where you actually need to knuckle down and really get that work done. National Productivity Day. Wow, what a day. Let's look at some news. The Lakers a bit banged up on the injury report. Luka's questionable. All right. Let's keep an eye on that, obviously. He played on Monday. I expect that he plays on Wednesday, but they've got a few other guys out. Gabe Vincent's not there. Dorian Finney-Smith's not there. Dalton Connect, not on the injury report, but who knows what is going on with that whole scenario, because, by the way, Mark Williams is out for the Hornets. Yusuf Nurkic also available and will play on a minutes limit. I wouldn't add Nurkic at this point, but that whole spot is looking so messy. But the Lakers are a whole bunch of banged up guys. They also, obviously, they're banged up and with the trade and all of the nonsense that's going on. They made a move. They signed Alex Len. They needed center depth. Now, I will be very, very blunt about this. He's terrible. And Jackson Hayes is also not very good, but he's actually better than Alex Len. So, while I don't think in any circumstance, for the majority of you, 10, 12, 14 team leagues, you don't have any interest in Alex Len, what it might do is it might just limit the ceiling of Jackson Hayes. If you've got Hayes, the good thing is about tomorrow with 15 games on, you actually don't need to make significant roster decisions. If you just want to, you just put Hayes on your bench, start somebody else, and we see what happens. Hayes is a low upside player anyway, especially for points leagues, and I wouldn't bother holding him in points leagues. But it just reduces a bit of the value. But don't be here thinking that, Alex Len's good. He's a 31-year-old center who can't do anything and has been bad for years, and all the advanced numbers are horrific for Len. So I wouldn't be getting worked up about it. What they did have to do that, though, is cut Christian Wood. The crucifix is a knee. We talked about this weeks ago. I said I don't think he's going to play this season. And I would say their calculus was he's not. So they cut him. He's gone. We got some diagnoses on the Mavericks big men. Dan Gafford, they're calling it a knee sprain and reevaluated in 2 weeks, which is something, I guess. It's not particularly robust information. It's not telling us that it's an ACL or MCL or PCL or LCL or patella or meniscus or whatever. It tells us nothing. Reevaluated in 2 weeks makes you go, oh, that's really good. All-star break, he barely misses any time. I will be stunned if Dan Gafford is back in 2 weeks. I don't know how long it'll be, but almost never does a player return. Yes, you get 1 out of every 75, and that's a made-up stat. But 1 out of every 75 situations where a player is said to be reevaluated does the player return on that date or before it. I would be expecting. Remember, this is a team that's given us nothing on Dwight Powell, by the way. What's his injury timeline? There was conflicting information regarding the Derek Lively timeframe. I think it might be the same here. So, yeah, and with the fact that every one of their fans, okay, let's put it this way. Do you know one Dallas Maverick fan who's like, yeah, nah, they made a pretty good move there getting rid of Doncic. I'm actually all in favor of it. All more power to Nico. I think they did really well. Do you know anybody who has ever said that anywhere? Unless someone's just trying to be a dickhead. Like, nobody thinks that. So, in terms of them trying to, like, win PR battles, I reckon they might be trying to do that. Is that conspiracy theory-ish? I don't know. That's how this team, especially, who literally made a point of being like, I think people might hate us here. That they're going to be like, because imagine they're like, oh, by the way, Anthony Davis is going to be out for 2 months. Dan Gafford's out for 2 months. We traded Luka. I guess our season's done. If they came out and said that, they just get cooked every 5 seconds. So they've given a 2-week time frame, which is the All-Star break. They hope people sort of forget about it. And I don't know. And then the Anthony Davis thing came out. And again, the report from Shams was they're going to be very cautious in his rehab. What does that mean? The fact, again, I said this yesterday, that Mark Stein came out and said, they're trying to see if they can do approaches that aren't surgery. And I just went, the fact that you even mentioned surgery means that this is bad. The surgery that would be the surgery that Damian Lillard had 2 years ago on his abdominal core muscle issue, which is a multi-month season ender. Now, they are not going for surgery at this point, but this is a significant long-term Anthony Davis injury. He's not back in 2-3 weeks, probably not 4 weeks. Maybe he pushes in 5, I don't know. But we are in a... Now, I know what you all want to hear. It's like, what do you do? Well, who do you add? Well, probably nobody, honestly. PJ Washington, I guess, will be the starting center. You could try Olivier Maxence Prosper. I don't know that he's very good. He was solid last game and played good minutes, but that was without PJ. I don't think that Omax will be a standard 12-team league guy. Najee Marshall could be. I'd probably lean Marshall over Prosper. But I think it's going to be just really messy with other guys. Like Max Christie's the guy that I would add, by the way. Max Christie. But Dinwiddie could do a little bit more. Clay could maybe do a little bit more. I just think it's going to be very, very, very messy. And I know we went on a long time on that, but I think that was relatively important. What we don't have at this point is an update on DeAndre Ayton. What we know is that Scoot Henderson and DeAndre Ayton are out tomorrow. So you could get... Like, I don't think Scoots is a serious injury, but Ayton's looked it. They've given us no update on this. I actually probably... I might pause this recording, and you won't... I didn't need to say that, but I will now. I might just see if I got any info on Ayton. So now we wait. I've tried to find out what I can about Ayton. I didn't want to pause it waiting for maybe hours for this to get the information back, but hopefully at some point in the show I can get something to give you on DeAndre Ayton. No update yet. I would add Donovan Clingan. I wouldn't add Robert Williams over Clingan. It could definitely turn into absolutely nothing. And Ayton might miss a game, and then Clingan goes back and plays 13 minutes. You know my evaluation of Clingan at the moment as a player. I don't think he's very good. And I think that if they can, the Blazers will just play Ayton. But if they don't have that option, I think they'll go with Clingan. For Charlotte, no LaMelo Ball. He's out. Sprained his ankle yesterday. No idea if there's a long-term situation going on. They've given us nothing there. And then Mark Williams is out again. And I would hope that all of this Williams Connect stuff gets sorted out over the All-Star break, and we sort of get an idea where we are. Because we can figure out what to do with Diabate. We can figure out what to do with Nurkic. We can figure out what to do with Williams. Don't do anything stupid. Don't drop Diabate. Don't drop Williams. I wouldn't even bother, honestly. I don't think that I'd bother streaming in Nurkic at this point. Remember, Williams isn't hurt. I don't think there's really any chance of this trade being unrescinded and Williams going to the Lakers. So I think Williams is just going to play it out after the break. But I also, like, it's not quite an unprecedented situation. It's close enough. And then the other bit of news there is Chet Holmgren is resting in tomorrow's game, so just be aware of that. You're not going to be able to do much with it, considering it's 15 games on, but it is notable that Chet's not playing. We're going to come back and talk most added and most dropped waiver wire guys, and then recap the 4 games from Tuesday. Before we get there, though, today's episode is brought to you by Wayfair. After the holiday hustle, you can give your home a little bit of a spruce up, a little bit of a tickle on the old design front. Get things squared away, neatened up. That can make you feel a whole lot better. And with Wayfair, you can get all the things that you would need. The furniture pieces, the items, the things that you need at a price that suits your budget. Everything that you need is all there. Give your space that new look at Wayfair. And the delivery, man, delivery's annoying, yeah? We buy things that's like, oh, and here's extra money, and here's this and this. No. With Wayfair, it's free and hassle-free. The delivery, even for the large items, and the site is so easy to navigate. So give your home the refresh that it needs with Wayfair. Head to wayfair.com right now. That is WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. All right, let's take a look at the most added and most dropped players across the fantasy basketball waiver wire. All right, the most added guy is the one that I just talked about. It is Donovan Clingan, because Ayton went down. It was a non-contact calf issue. Is it a actual calf strain that we saw him have earlier in the season? Fingers crossed, it's not an Achilles injury, because that can often be labeled initially as a calf strain. Didn't quite look Achilles, but we hope not. But yeah, I agree with this. The second most added player is Jackson Hayes. The rescindation, that's not a real word, is it? Can someone check? Is rescindation like you're pertaining to something being rescinded? Is that a real word? Anyway, the Mark Williams trade being cancelled. It means that Hayes is the only center, and the numbers were like BDNR plus. Len might take a bit of the ceiling off. Again, he is bad. But, I don't mind adding Hayes. People added Aaron Wiggins. We talked about him on the Buy Low Sell High show. Actually, on the Sell High show. Because what he is doing has 100%... It's 100% not going to happen. It's not going to continue. There is no way that it happens like it is. If you wanted to stream him in for a low-volume game, I get it. But long-term, no way. Keon Ellis, next most added player. Do it, right? He played 30 minutes a night. They're finding ways to get him. They bench Keegan. They bench DeRozan. They limit Trey Lyles to 10 minutes. If they stop doing that and he goes back to 22, then yeah, drop him. But the sign is there. People added Santi Aldama. Didn't realize he was dropped enough to be added that much, but that's okay. They're playing today. Go for it. And the last one is Royce O'Neal. Well, we're going to talk Suns and players maybe to add later on. And that game is still going as I'm recording this, but I'm not sure that Royce O'Neal is going to be the Phoenix Suns player on the most added list when we look at this tomorrow. That would be my guess. It's probably going to be Bol Bol. Let's look at the most dropped players. Number one on that list is Dalton Connect. He's back with the Lakers. He won't do enough. See you later. Yusuf Nurkic, the next most dropped player. Yeah, I can get behind that. He didn't play. People just freaked out. Why would they trade for Nurkic and then not play him? Many reasons. They want to see Diabate there. There's the whole kerfuffle around the Williams scenario. Who knows what shape Nurkic is in anyway. There are plenty of reasons. We don't need to, especially around this incredibly weird time. Trade deadline. All-star break. Dumb shit happens all through this period. When you go in, round the twist. All around this period, there's this weird stuff happening, right? Shout out to anyone who had their nostalgia bone tickled right then. So, I don't actually have a problem with dropping Nurkic. It's more just a comment on people and how reactive we can be at times. Nurkic might have value tomorrow, but I get it. If we see Nurkic play and play well, and he's a better player than Diabate, I'll tell that is true. But I'm not sure they're going to prioritize him. So yeah, in the end, drop him. Lonzo Ball, he is shooting horribly. He is currently out with an illness. I would have tried to hold on to him, but who knows? Carlo Makovic. I was sort of impressed with the last game. He played good minutes. That was with CJ McCollum resting. I do believe, I believe this pretty firmly now, that Makovic is going to have a run. I don't know when it's going to start. It might be now. I don't think it is, because I think CJ will just push him back to the bench. But let's throw a random date out, and you can come back and fact check me on this. Let's say March the 14th. From March the 14th onwards, I think Makovic is going to play 27 minutes a night and be a 12-team league player. Now, that date, just to be clear, is completely made up. But with Trey Murphy, could they potentially wrap him in a little bit of cotton wool? Could old-ass CJ McCollum be wrapped in cotton wool? Could Zion hamstring Williamson be wrapped in cotton wool? Sure. If any of those guys are out, we're seeing it right now, Makovic will just start. So, yeah. Dropping him, I get it. It all depends on your individual spot. Are you streaming for wins right now? Because maybe you hold. Keon Johnson got dropped. The last couple of games have been bad for him. This is what happens when you have bad players, and it's going to happen for Makovic as well. These guys are not good. You're going to have games where they look great, And you're going to have games where they suck and they play 24 minutes. Keon is probably worth holding. And how the Nets approach the Cam Johnson, Cam Thomas, Nick Claxton, D'Angelo Russell spot after the break is going to be fascinating. They've already pulled these guys way back. Keon is debatable. And interesting to me that Herb Jones is one of the most dropped players. Basically as soon as it happened, I just said Herb's done for the year. And then about 3 weeks or 2 weeks after that, I said, look, it's official. Like, he's not coming back. It was never official, but we knew that was the case. Finally, today, it is official, but people were still holding on to Herb. I don't know what they thought was going to happen. Obviously, they thought he was coming back. It never made any sense that he was coming back. So much so that I haven't even included him on any injury shows for about 3 weeks, because that's what I do when someone's out for the season. I just take them off that. So he's done, and people have responded and moved on. Good for them. Let's take a look at the first game of the day. The Toronto Raptors, my Toronto Raptors, with the big win over the Philadelphia 76ers, 106-103. The Raptors also made a big move today. They signed Brandon Ingram to an extension, which I think is important to talk about. Now, we have got the extra time here to talk about some extra things on this show, because there's only 4 games on. So I will. I think everyone knows what I feel about Ingram as a player. He's a guy that if you just look at his resume and you look at his numbers, he's bloody good, mate. All-star games. Look, it's 5 assists a game, 25 points, 40% shooting from 3. He's a really good player. He's excellent as a player. And I get that. I do get that. But he's one of these players that really just sort of grinds me in terms of trying to build good basketball teams, because he's a guy that really does need to be a number one type of player and have other guys positioned around him to make a roster fit, but he is not good enough to be your number one. Last year, playoffs, he was the number one with Zion out. It was disgusting. He doesn't really know how to play off ball at all. He doesn't take really enough three-point shots at all. He doesn't defend. He gets assists. I wouldn't say he's a good passer. He's fine as a passer. He's not a good passer. And he's not a defensive playmaker or a good defender or a good help defender, nothing. Now, the Raptors will tell you, and Toronto fans will tell you, shout out to you guys, love you guys, that they don't get free agents to come to Toronto. I get that part of it. And trading for him, they didn't give up a huge amount, and now the risk of him leaving is done. Like, that's great. All right? You don't have to worry about that. You've signed him $40 million a year. I just, the fit with him and Barnes and Quickly and Barrett is I think it's really bad. There are people also in Toronto who seem to think that this is their future guy. I've had people tell me they're positioned great. They'll just trade other players to like pair alongside Barnes another start. Like, no, so pair alongside Ingram. Like, I'm not sure who you think Ingram is as a player. He's not that good. He's already 27. Their team, I don't understand. And this is what I don't understand about them. Every one of their starters, while they're not like super old, they're not young, they're all on their second contracts. For a team that is terrible, and they are terrible, all of their starters are on big long-term extensions. So there's no flexibility. And this team is bad. They currently have the 5th best odds. They're about 2.5 games behind the Nets, who are 6th best odds, in the lottery. That means that the most likely outcome for them is pick number 7. There's less than a 50% chance, about 44% chance they get a top 5 pick, and maybe they do. They can do that. They'd have to catch the Hornets to get into the top 4, which seems pretty unlikely. But they're in a sort of a weird spot. In saying all of that, Philadelphia sucks, and Toronto got a good win. So that's great for them to be able to do that. And I don't say this because I hate Toronto, because I absolutely do not. It's a funny joke because you guys get so riled up that is literally how this whole thing came up. That people get, I can't believe you don't think Scotty Barnes is going to make the Hall of Fame. Yeah, no, I didn't. And so that's how it all started, right? So they get a good win here. Let's talk about Barnes, who was very good. 33 and 10, 2 blocks. Elite shooting, elite free throw drawing, 80% from the line. That is lovely. Overall, Barnes' season has been a bit meh, but that's a very good game. And we actually finally got a good Emmanuel Quickly game. It has been horrific for Quickly this season. I think he's a good player. He ended up with 23, 3, and 5. He shot 64%. That's a fake number that'll come down. But he played 34 minutes. He looked in control. There was no Barrett in this one, no Pirtle in this one, no Ingram in this one. I actually believe that them signing Ingram to the contract extension means that they are absolutely fully going to tank their asses off now. because they don't have to be like, well, let's show Brandon Ingram what we can do. Let's get something out of it. Because the idea could have been, hey, we'll take a flyer. We'll play him here. Maybe we push for the play-in and do something as everyone gets healthy. They're not doing that now. They are going to concentrate on the draft. So be very cautious about Barnes, Pirtle, quickly maybe Barrett, Ingram. Like Ingram is apparently another month away. So I'd be very cautious about what happens with this team. They have, after this extension was signed, they have moved on to my, you guys are shutting down 2.5 weeks to go in the season at least. John Mobo played just 21 minutes. He had 5 fouls. That's why. I don't mind a Mobo stash. I've got no idea when Pirtle returns, but I don't think he's going to play a huge amount of games down the stretch. Mobo had 4, 5, and 5 with 2 steals, and tomorrow's actually a good stashable day because you don't need to use these guys. Oshay Abaji, just like, I wouldn't bother with him. He's rostered in spots, 24% rostered according to our numbers. 11, 4, and 1, that's just not enough for 12s. It's not at all. We actually got Ulrich Chomchi playing. He played 12 minutes. He didn't hit a shot. He will start a game this season. Chomchi, he will start a game. That was been always one of my calls from the start of the year, that he's going to start. We also got 33 minutes of Dick. I don't know about you, but I don't think I've had 33 minutes of Dick for a while. It's been a while. Anyway, he had 17 points with 3 threes. He had 3 steals. He got a block. That's great for Grady. I don't think that I need to bother with adding him. Although, if everything that I just tied in there, saying that I think that some of these guys are going to sit down, I don't think that's going to include Dick. So I think we might have stash ability for him if you wanted to do it. If you want to just squirrel some Dick away onto one of your benches and see what happens. I'm not going to be fully anti-Dick on you. The Philadelphia 76ers. What is going on with this team? They're terrible. That's part of it. They lose again. Embiid played 38 minutes, despite him saying he needs surgery in his knee, which just get it now, man. 27 and 12, 4 assists, a steal, and a block in 38 minutes. And then he had the audacity, the temerity, the unmitigated gall to come out after the game and say, I'm not sure about me playing tomorrow. I am. I'm pretty sure, Joel. You're not. You played 38 minutes. Do you think you're coming out and playing on a back-to-back on a busted-ass season? If you do, then is he just saying like, bro, this knee's going to blow up. I'm just going to do whatever I can. There's no point preserving anything anymore. We're done here. If Joel Embiid plays in this back-to-back tomorrow, that to me is almost a tacit admission that he knows that he is on absolute limited time. So I might as well just do whatever I can. I might as well just go. That is how I would read that, and I would be very scared. Keep an eye on Jared Butler. He played 16 minutes actually, and had 15, 4, and 4. We saw him turn in some really good games earlier in the season with the Wizards, and then they traded for him, a two-way guy. You don't see that happen very often. They traded for him. They sent out Reggie Jackson, and they brought him in. But his two-way contract limit is getting very close. Let me double-check the number on that. And he's got 6 to go. So is he playing because Kyle Lowry and Eric Gordon were out? Or are they just going to convert him? They just converted Justin Edwards. They could convert him. Who could they cut to, bloody David Roddy. There you go. All right. Yeah, they're definitely converting Jared Butler. Jared Butler, they signed Chumra KK and David Roddy. Yeah, they are. Bye-bye. Jared Butler's getting converted, and he might be able to hold down the backup point guard role. This was probably the worst Tyrese Maxey game we've seen all season. He did not score a single field goal until 1 minute and 50 seconds left in the game. Not in the first half, in the fourth quarter. That is dreadful. Dreadful. Whatever though, he's been great. 5 points, 11%, terrible. I can't explain what's going on with Paul George. I just have no explanation at all for this. I know I'm talking about this game a lot, but I don't know. I feel like I've got words. What is happening? This man is terrible. Now, there is always some sort of a discount you should pay some players when they join new teams. But this man was an all-NBA caliber player last season. And now we get this bullshit. 14 and 3, 42%. He just looks terrible. I don't get it. The major takeaway from this game, there's 2 actually. I said this the other day. I said, I think that we are going to start to get Quentin Grimes put onto the Nick Nurse minutes diet. He started the second half. He played 36 minutes. He had 13, 7, and 4, 2 steals. I think that is a must-add player. If he plays 36 minutes a night, we are there. Now, there was no Gordon. There was no Lowry. Maybe they mess it up. I don't think that they will. The other thing you got to pay attention to here is Gershon Yabusele. As it's been nearly all season, when Embiid does not play, you've got about a 50-50 chance of Yabusele having a good game. And when Embiid does play, there's no point rostering him. He had, 8 and 6 with 2 threes and 22% and played 22 minutes. Now, Embiid could be out tomorrow and just be done in like the next 5 games. I've got no idea. So you could hold Yabusele, but you're not in a spot where he's doing enough to be held when Embiid is there. So get that idea, I think, out of your head, especially with Grimes being there now and playing this well, that Yabusele is not going to start at the 4. There was a lot on that game. I thought there was enough there, though. Today's episode is brought to you by Open Phone. Running a small business means wearing a lot of hats. Your personal phone becomes your business phone. And before you know it, you're juggling customer calls all day and night. As your team grows, it can become impossible to manage everything just with your personal number. And that is where Open Phone comes in. It is the #1 business phone system designed to help you keep your work and personal life separate. For just $15 a month, you get complete transparency on everything happening on your business phone number. It hooks up through an app on your phone or your computer, links up with apps like HubSpot, and after you've done with a call, you get an immediate transcription and summary, so you get all of the action points out of that call immediately. Right now, OpenPhone is offering 20% off your first 6 months when you go to openphone.com/lockedonnba. That is openphone.com/lockedonnba for 20% off your first 6 months. openphone.com/lockedonnba, and if you have an existing number with another service, well, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra cost. Now, this could be famous last words, but I don't think there's going to be quite as much to talk about in this next game, at least, because the New York Knickerbockers beat the Indiana Pacers 128-115. All right, easy stuff. It's the Knicks. We know that their lineups are very static. OG Anunoby was questionable for this game, but didn't play. I guess there's a chance he plays tomorrow, but you would have to think that he's just going to return straight after the break. Let's just start with the big sneeze, Precious Achiuwa. 9 and 12 with a block is fine. I think we're all aware he's not a very good player, but there's at least some back-end stream value. But again, if you wanted to move on to try Bol Bol, Quentin Grimes, Donovan Clingan, Max Christie, do it. You look at this and go, what the hell happened to Jalen Brunson? I hope my GOAT didn't get hurt. And he didn't. He played 23 minutes and had 5 fouls. He had 5 fouls in about 17 minutes, I think. He had 8 points and 7 assists. Just ignore it. I had Mikal Bridges on the Buy Low show today, and instead of a Buy Low bump, he just got worse. We talked about how he couldn't shoot anymore and his free throw attempts were down into nothing. Well, he attempted 0 free throws. He had 6, 5, and 5 with no threes or defensive stats. That's horrendous, man. Now, we're definitely not dropping him. He still remains a buy low to me. But do not fool yourself into believing that he is a top 50 player or a top 60 player or something like that, because he's very clearly not. As it always is the case, Mikal Bridges is going to be one of the great examples of why when Yahoo displays a ranking of 9-cat value, which they default to 9-cat total value, he's going to look like he had a good season. Currently, he's ranked 50th. 50th. Mikal Bridges. 50th. He's ranked 50th this season. Let me give you a couple of notable names that is better than. Norman Powell. Yep, who would you rather, Mikal Bridges or Norman Powell? You know the answer. Scotty Barnes. You know the answer. Jordan Poole. You know the answer. Who else have we got there? Jalen Johnson. You know the answer. What other? Well, I can find names all over the place here that make no sense to where that ranking positions him. Giannis Antetokounmpo. Would you rather 50th ranked Mikal Bridges or 109th ranked Giannis? You've got your answer. We know your answer. You can say it out loud. It's okay. It's okay. We know where we're at. But that is, it's going to happen again. And you got to see these rankings, and he's going to end up finishing like 44th in total 9-cat numbers. And go, oh, actually, he was ADP 57, so actually pretty good pick. No, No, he continues to struggle. Although, again, I do believe that he's going to bounce back from this. It's at the moment, it's really bad. What else do we need to look at on the Knicks side? Not a lot. Towns looked like he might have hurt his finger a little bit, but he played through it. 40 and 12, 3 steals, great game. Joshy Hart, 40 minutes. Ooh, that's a lot, man. 30 and 10, unbelievable shooting numbers. His shooting numbers have been so ridiculous. He's been, I had no idea. I still think that there's a chance that some of this shooting falls, but I got more confidence in it than some of the other early season hot shooters. And I was completely wrong on what Josh Hart was going to do this season. Completely. Massively. He's been ridiculous. Let's talk about the Indiana Pacers because they did it. They did bench Benedict Mathurin. We sort of saw it coming, and I've been on the Benedict Mathurin is a drop train for quite a while now, and I'll remain on that. And that will seem weird because you'll look at this and go, Josh, why would I drop him? He just played 31 minutes off the bench, had 18 points, and went 9 of 11 from the line. And to that, I'd say you're absolutely correct. All those are factual numbers. Aaron Nesmith started. He played 13 minutes. You want to know why? He had 4 fouls in 13 minutes. That is what he does. Mathurin, with this big game, that brings him to 216th over the last 2 weeks. So that's very good. That's a solid enough game. Actually, you know what? Is it very good? Not really, because he shot 40% from the field. It's an okay game. But under no circumstance do I believe that Benedict Mathurin is a 12-team league guy. Nesmith started. He played 13 minutes. He will not play 13 minutes every game. Siakam was great, 24 and 5, 2 steals and a block. And the next question you're going to get is, hey man, do I go and add Tom Bryant now? Miles Turner's out. He is. That is true. Turner has been out. Bryant wasn't this good. He was good. 32 minutes, 18 and 9, 4 assists, 1 block. Turner's out tomorrow. Let me again ask you the question. If you added Thomas Bryant, would you start him tomorrow? And then what is the likelihood that Miles Turner is out for the next game a week and a half later after the break? The odds on that are incredibly tiny. So I would not bother wasting a move to add Tom Bryant tomorrow when he could just as easily play 24 minutes tomorrow and be useless. Even though I know Turner is out. Halliburton, again, didn't do much, but somehow rescued 16, 5, and 8. He's been similarly to Paul George. I can't really explain the Halliburton thing. Like, he's not as bad as Paul George is, but it's just like this drop-off. We go, what the hell why is this happening? Not much else going on in this one. Nembhard was another bad performance, 3 steals. I'm back to the stage where I don't think that you need to consider him a must-roster player. There's too little of an upside to consider him a guy to grab or hold. This next game, I think we can largely throw a lot of this out. The Detroit Pistons beat the Bulls 132-92, and that actually flatters the Bulls. They scored 29 points in the first half. Not quarter, half. 29 points. So this game was over midway through the second. Asar Thompson played only 22 minutes. He shot 88%, but he had 16, 3, and 4 with 4 steals and 2 blocks. The minutes in this game are very hard to judge, like Leaky Beasley played 16. Also broke the record for most threes in a season for a Pistons player, with another 7 here. And he remains that fringy, streamy points and threes guy. Would I add Asar? It's looking that way at the moment, yes. Jalen Duren, just 4 and 11, but again, don't really care about it in this game. Fontecchio played 26 minutes because of the blowout. And I think Hogsman might actually be back, Tobias Harris. 18 and 3 with 3 steals and a block. He's taking shots, they're going in, he's giving you defense. After a horrendous run, we're getting some good Toby. And could good Toby be a top 80 guy through the fantasy playoffs? I'm not going to rule that part of it out. If you are still, for some reason, holding on to Dennis Schroeder, please do not do that.
Get that garbage out of here.
First of all, let him have his personal autonomy to do whatever he needs to do. But secondly, he played 15 minutes, and had 4 points. Unless Cade goes down, we don't care. He is replacing Marcus Sasser. That is it. It's all he is doing. On to the other side of this equation, and it is my Chicago Bulls. And yeah, that's embarrassing for these dickheads. Every quote that comes out from the front office and the coach just makes no sense. Oh, we might push for the play-in. Oh, will ya? Will ya? Good. That's good thinking. There's many ways to build an NBA championship. You can do it with stars, or you can do it the way that we're doing it, with 8 to 9 good players. There's so many lies in that statement that I don't even know where to start. A, you don't have 8 to 9 very good players. B, no one wins an NBA championship that way. And people say, what about the Raptors? You know who they had? The probably best player in the entire league that season, Kawhi Leonard. What about the 2004 Pistons? Cool, thank you. Once in 30 years. And you don't even have 8 to 9 good players. These guys are idiots, I swear to God. Wasn't a good game from Vooch, was it? Yeah, not that good. 25 minutes, 8 points, 27%. He hurt his foot ankle early on. He played through it. It was horrendous for so many of these guys. Kobe White, 5 points in 15% shooting. The Vooch thing is getting interesting. The first 2 months of the season, he was unconscious, couldn't miss a single shot. Since then, he's outside the top 50 per game. Basically just sort of back in line with what my preseason expectations were. So, your sell-high window is obviously done. I do very much worry about how much Vooch plays down the stretch. Even though they're claiming they're going to push for the play, I don't know what to make of any of this thing this team says. But it's a terrible one. Now, to be fair, I think that if people didn't lube their hands up with butter and give the Danish backhand to Vooch at every opportunity, you might actually be able to do a buy low on it. But people are out here going, he's actually the 11th ranked player. He's a first rounder guy. If people weren't saying that, then you probably could buy low because he's way better than what he's doing at the moment. Way better. I got some real concerns about where this team is going. Don't drop Matas Buzelis after this. He had 12 points. He shot 71%. He had no defensive stats. Again, it's just a stupid game. So don't overreact. Ayo was like, whatever. He played 20 minutes. It's a bad game. The difference between me saying don't drop Buzelis and me saying if you wanted to drop Ayo, which I haven't said yet, but I'll say it now. If you wanted to drop Ayo, I don't think it's the worst because I don't think Ayo ceiling is particularly high. He needs to play 38 minutes. He needs to get 1 million usage. And I don't know that that's happening. I think his ceiling is just way lower. 8 points, 3 steals is whatever. It's fine for Dosunmu, but I don't think it's anything that's exciting. Well, the only guy to really escape this game with anything solid is Josh Giddey, who had 11, 6, and 4 in a 1-1. And the absence of Lonzo Ball is really helping him, and obviously Zach LaVine being traded is helping him. I don't know what to make of the fact that Zach Collins played 12 minutes and Jalen Smith played 11. You do not need to roster Jalen Smith. I think that there is a chance that Vooch doesn't play it portions after the break, and Smith becomes a 12-team league guy, but there is absolutely no need to just hold him. You can, but you don't have to. The fact that they now have 2 centers, who I say are competent, they're not really, they're bad, but in Smith and Collins, that if Vooch didn't play, they actually do have passable centers because their other guy was Adama Sanogo before that. To me, that sort of makes it a little bit easier for them to say, Vooch, you might be sitting down for a bit here. Overall, though, what else are we going to say? Patrick Williams had 5 points in 20 minutes. Bro, that contract, oh my God. He's got 4 more years to go on that contract. $90 million, 5 years total. Oh, man, what is this team? Terrible is what they are. And now we get to the one that everyone wants to hear about. The Memphis Grizzlies, they did actually win the game, 119-112. And that's important to note, right? Because we might, in the fantasy community, start collectively just knocking the top off it about something that happened on Phoenix, but they lost. And I'm not sure how much the Suns fans care about certain fantasy performances if they're not going to win games ever. Let's talk about the Grizzlies side. They rolled in with the same starting group. 119-112, the final score over here. And they're getting a little bit of stability at the moment. Knock on wood, is Ja Morant going to be able to play 4 games in a row? I don't know. But he played here and played 33 minutes. He played 26, 7, and 6. That's great. We also got big minutes from this Grizzlies guys we don't normally get. And Desi Bane had 20 and 8 with 4 assists and 2 threes. Good games from both of those guys. Santi Aldama played 23 minutes. That's not a nice number. It's not a good number. It's not a big number. But he was fine. 14 and 5 with 4 threes. I will say this. It does help when you are being guarded by Bol Bol. That does help. Santi continues to be someone that just is confusing, I guess, because he puts up these good runs, but overall, what is he in your team? Your 12th best player? Is that worth a persistent and consistent hold? I don't know. He probably is, but I don't know. Zach Edey, not that he played a very good team here, but he wasn't very good. 4 and 9 with 2 blocks. That's not terrible, but he continues to be frustrating. I would try to hold, I guess. And then Jaren Jackson, not his best game, 34 minutes, 17 and 6, 2 steals and a block, while Jalen Wells sort of dropping off at the moment, Wellsy. Also, you'll note that people are still rostering Luke Kennard, who had 0 points. GG Jackson, who played 13 minutes. You do not roster these guys. Vince Williams, they're not 12-team guys. Wells, not 12-team guys. I know it's exciting to roster GG Jackson, but what is he? Memphis is Keldon Johnson. You don't need to roster him. The opportunities are not there to do that. It was a very good game from Brandon Clark, but I don't trust it in 19 minutes. He had 14 and 7. The big story, of course, is the other side because, again, I don't know, there's always a level of uncomfortability for me with the way that people talk about Bol Bol. I don't know why it's so uncomfortable, but it is. But people are going to get excited because Bol Bol started. His last couple of games had been pretty good. Pretty good. This one, the stat line is excellent. 18 points in 30 minutes, 14 rebounds, 3 threes, 2 steals, 4 blocks. Very inefficient. Shot 30% from 3 on 10 attempts. The problem with Bol has never been that he doesn't have an unbelievable fantasy game. In that draft, I don't remember which year it was, but I believe he had the best out of every single player fantasy college stats to NBA translations. Because he shot volume threes at a decent percentage, he blocked shots and he rebounds, and he had some passing skill. That's never been the problem with Bol. The problem has been is he is narrow, tunnel visioned, lazy on defense, out of position, doesn't work in a flow of a team ever. That has always been the problem. He had a lot of those moments in this game as well. He played well, especially down in the fourth quarter. But defensively, he's still got no idea what's happening. And bro's been in the league years and years and years and still struggles. Basically, Bol Bol replacing Bradley Beal here. They made the change. Bol started, Royce O'Neal went to the bench, Kevin Durant returned, and Ryan Dunn went to the bench. But Ryan Dunn was the guy that was replacing Bradley Beal. So there's that one spot in the lineup, and at the moment, it's Bol's. It's not Allen, it's not O'Neal, it's not Dunn, who was basically out of the rotation, played under 5 minutes. He's a good defender, Ryan Dunn, but there's just too many limitations on his other stuff. So I don't know what happens when Beal comes back. I don't imagine they're going to start Bradley Beal. So again, I have been... I don't know what the right word is. Famous is not the right word. But I have been down on Bol for a long time, and people will always bring that up. Of course, I was 100% correct in being down on Bol. But I don't know, there's just something about this one that feels a little bit different. So I don't want to get everyone too riled up. I don't want to get everyone too excited, but I think you've got to add him. I think you have to add Bol Bol. I have no idea whether this arrangement of lineup will start. Royce O'Neal could start next game. Allen could start. Easily. Dunn could start. Beal could start after the All-Star break. But the hype that Bol gets, I think you just grab him right now. And I tweeted this out about 2 minutes into the game. Just grab him, right? I think it's one of those, let's just do it and see what happens. I have no faith that it lasts long term. Because I think eventually all of the defensive mistakes, and the fact, again, they lost, will add up and he won't play those big minutes. But it wasn't like he was bad. Like Tyus Jones was. He was a minus 15 Tyus. He had 11, 3, and 9 with 2 steals. And he played 32 minutes, Tyus. I think when Beal comes back, he's not going to be a rosterable player. He's barely been that all season. He's bad. He is not a starting caliber player, Tyus Jones. Sorry to him. He looks like a nice guy. Royce O'Neal was fine. 34 off the bench, 11, 6, and 4. Because he wasn't off the bench, was he? Because he started the second half. You know why he started the second half? Because league winner Nick Richards got benched. Richards played 16 minutes. He had 6 and 4. He's been a drop for weeks now. And it's not exact. They're not the same. He's not the same player as Bol, because Bol actually has a good fantasy game. But he's one of those guys where, like, I stress this with Nick Richards. He is terrible. He is not a good NBA player. And eventually the coaches will be like, I can't with this guy. Get him out of here. And his upside was not good enough to hold him or even consider him a must-roster guy. Now, Bol's a little bit different because if he gets a 1 month run as a starter, he could roll top 50. He could. But they could also watch him like jack up horrible shots, be out of position, be tunneled vision, do the dumbest shit with the dumbest turnovers, completely out of position defensively, and Budget's gone, no, there's a reason this guy hasn't played in 3 years. That's possible with Bol. But the upside payoff of Bol is way higher than it is with BDNR. Surely no one's still holding him, are they? Grayson Allen, disappointing. But that's another thing when we talk about Bol. Like, Allen played under 20 minutes. Why couldn't he play 28 in the next game? It's possible, right? So, add Bol. And if you want, I'll give you permission on this one, guys, if you're still watching this now. I know you are. Drop it in the chat down below. I won't even negatively comment on it. Drop Bol equals league winner. Do it. It'll make you feel good. All right, do it. He's not, but just drop it. Right? I know it'll make you feel good. Drop it. Drop it in the comments. Don't even drop it in the chat on the live. Drop it in the comments so it's there for perpetuity. So we all see it. And we all feel that sense of, yes, Bol. I'm actually going to go and place bids on adding Bol. And I know you'll say, Josh, are you okay? I'm not. 43 minutes for Durant. Yeah, feels like a few too many. They got a back-to-back tomorrow. That's his first game back from injury. I don't know what game Budenholzer's playing at, but Durant passed the 30,000 point mark. Congrats to Kevin Durant. Like, that's a ridiculously good achievement. 34, 3-3 with 5 blocks. Big game. Also 13 Ty Washington minutes for like a reason I probably don't think I'll ever understand. Should we give out some lines of the night? We should. The monstrous line of the night. It's not him. It's not who you think it is. The monstrous line of the night is Karl Anthony Towns. 40 and 12 with 5 assists and 3 steals. The waiver wire line of the night. Well, there was a big man who replaced a big man in Indiana. Does he get it? Nah, he doesn't. It's Bol Bol. Of course it is. 18 and 14, 2 assists, 2 steals and 4 blocks for the big fella. He cooked them. We'll see how long it lasts, but good work. Your young gun of the night is Asar Thompson. Only 22 minutes. Again, helps when you're going up against the Bulls. 16, 3 and 4 with 4 steals and 2 blocks. I think I'm going to say that sentence a lot when someone has a big game. Yeah, but it's against the Bulls. And the dud of the night plays for the Bulls. It's not him. It's Kobe White. 5, 3 and 2 for White. He was terrible. So was the whole team. No offense to you, Kobe. It's not all on you. And that, legends, is the end of a bloated recap, because for some reason I just felt like I had a lot. Maybe it was the Indian National Productivity Day. I just thought I'm going to be extra productive. We've got 4 games on. Screw that. I'm going to do it like we've got a 12-game day on. Tomorrow, I probably need to cut back a little bit because we've got 15 games on. So we'll see how we go, unless you want me to go for 3 hours. And if you do, drop I want Josh to last for 3 hours in the comments as well. Guys, hit the old subscribe button. Double bang. Keep the positive vibes going. Keep yourself feeling positive. Think to yourself tomorrow at work, at school, how can I be my best Bol Bol? Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.